It's your time. Your next is waiting for you. In order to get what you want, you have to leave where you are. Take a step to what's next. It's your time to level up. Elevation, graduation, celebration is all waiting for you. Let us take you to the next level. Let's increase your faith. Don't delay, then it's all well. It's waiting for you. Let us take you to the next level. Let's increase your faith. Don't delay, the next level is waiting for you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Level Up. I am one of your hosts, Stephanie Reynolds.
And I am your other house.
Okay, so here's what's so funny. We had this whole thing planned out, and we just completely failed.
Yes. We're gonna
But
start over.
this is right. This is my co-host, Jamie Gill.
This is what's so great about Level Up. It's a real show.
Mhm.
This is nothing that is packaged and pre-planned in the sense of where it's not authentic. It's definitely planned and prayed about. But this is an authentic opportunity and space where real people get together to talk about real life, real topics with real authors and business owners. So that way we can help you level up. We are so excited about today's episode because this author is very special to us. This author is also our producer. We are
Technical difficulties, you know why.
right. Today's author and producer is our beloved friend, Justin McMullen. Justin is such an amazing human being. He is a man who has a passion for writing, and he also has a passion for the fantasy world. And we're going to get into that a little bit because of this passion and interest that started at a very young age with some of our favorite video games of Zelda and Dragon Ball Z. But it has helped him develop an interesting way of writing. And we're going to talk about it today as we talk about his amazing book, Case 1988. So join us in welcoming our friend, beloved producer, Justin.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. How you doing today, Justin?
Good, good, good. Happy to be here with y'all.
Oh, it is a pleasure for us. Justin, before we get into, I have 2 copies of your book. One stays by my bedside and one stays either in my car or on my bookshelf. And we'll get into why later. But before we get into this amazing book, just tell our audience about you. Who are you, Justin?
I'm a country kid from Champaign, Illinois, born and raised. Always had a passion for writing. I remember my dad would bring in all type of movies, anime, and he would never let me watch them. So I would wait till he left the house and sneak in this room, wait till my brothers were in the front, and I would watch things he would tell me not to. And it just, my imagination went wild. And ever since then, I've been writing. I remember being in the 3rd grade and writing for my 3rd grade class, which I run an award, and my father had came and he had watched me read to the class. And then once I saw their faces and how excited they were, my students and my father and my teacher, who rest in peace, gave me the fire to start writing. I knew what I wanted to do. So I knew I had a love for video games. I knew I had a love for expansive, beautiful fantasy worlds, and that's where the journey started.
Wow. And the reason that I love the fact that you are a fantasy, have fantasy interests is because I often say that life is a fantasy.
Mm.
And I say that because there are so many times that we're experiencing, whether we're turning on the television or we're scrolling through our social media, life seems very unreal.
Mhm.
right? The things that we're going through. When I grew up, my grandmother used to buy me these books where, do you guys remember the books where you could get predict what happens next, and depending if you wanted A or B, you would turn to that page.
Yeah, Goosebumps did that a lot.
Yeah, so he was like, okay, I want the girl to get into a fight. Go to page 88. Or I want the two friends to make up. Okay, go to 172. And those books at a very early age taught me that we have choices and
Yeah.
we have an opportunity to not only make decisions, but we can learn so much. I believe deeply that art reflects life and life reflects art. So tell me how that led you into becoming a fantasy.
Um, it was it's kind of like playing God in a way. Um, Being able to come up with characters, and I got to give a shout out to one person. He actually died about 2 years ago. It broke my heart. I'm going to nerd out here a little bit. His name was Akira Toriyama. He's the creator of Dragon Ball.
Mm.
He passed away about 2 years ago, and it crushed me because I got to see from him how fantasy really worked, because his life was pretty much like you explained. Um, Funny enough, his wife, if it wasn't for his wife coming in one night when he was with a friend trying to figure out what to create, we would not have Dragon Ball. So, but seeing how he used his real life experience to create something so unique, and me understanding that at such a young age, set me on this path where if I can think it, it may be a bad idea at first, but if I put pen to paper and I just put it together well enough, it might work. Because Dragon Ball absolutely makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of words that I read that didn't make any sense, that resonated with so many people. And through my own personal experience, I was able to add that fantasies that I've grown up with, and things in my life that I could put in a story. It made it so much easier. So yeah, I can't imagine my life without it. Um, it's a beautiful thing when you use your imagination and you just let you come out. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
believe is it's the most beautiful thing a writer can do. Not what somebody else did. Somebody can inspire you to do something, but the fact that you, who you are, projects, and the
Yeah,
message that only you have, makes it a beautiful thing.
I
I
love
love
that. I
that.
love that.
I think that's one of the things that makes writing and being an author so powerful, because it gives voice to such a variety of ways of thinking, of approaching this world of creativity. There's not just one way that you have to do it. So, like, I have never watched Dragon Ball, Minecraft, like the anime and stuff like that. But I love the fact though that there is this whole world of people
Mm.
who just like are so dedicated. My kids just recently discovered Pokemon. And so,
Mhm.
they're
Oh
like,
yeah,
Mommy, they tell me all the characters. And I'm like, okay.
yes,
But I just love the fact that these stories allow a whole segment of people to connect to it in a way that maybe they wouldn't have connected to something else. And so writing and being able to explore that, I think, is such a powerful way to give a voice to someone who probably feels misunderstood, right? Because I'm sure people who are, who love murder mysteries versus people who love anime, they're in completely different worlds, but they're able to craft like their own world within it. Does that make sense? I think that's such an
Yeah.
amazing thing.
it
Yes,
Yeah.
is. It
absolutely.
definitely is. Stories are projections of yourself, and there are so many directors and writers that I just sat down and I would listen to. I never went out to lunch in my high school days, and people would laugh at me because I would always be in the library on Wikipedia when it first came out, and I would just read how they were able to create things, why they would name a character a certain type of way, why they would plan a storyline. the way they did, and it made things so much easier for me as a writer. So you you can't go wrong with writing. Like I said, I can't imagine life without it at this point.
And what the fantasy world does for me is the fact that it is a safe space for everyone, no matter what you look like, no matter what your hobbies are, no matter what you're going through. It's almost like because it's fantasy. It's a
Mhm.
safe space.
It can be
It's a safe
whatever.
to be
It's
whatever.
always, it's
Yeah.
always there.
Yeah. And so with that, we're going to get into this amazing book, Case 1988. I love the cover because I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's animated. And if you look at the cover, you would almost think that this is a comic book. And I grew up loving comic books, but the reality is that this is a very real story, even though the characters are animated in a way. This is the main character, Justin, and this is Officer Nigel and Officer Peter. Look at their faces. Look at that detail. Shout out to the designer of this amazing cover.
Yeah,
Um,
his name was Dylan. He actually did work for Disney,
mm,
and I was able to find him, and he did my cover for me. I didn't know if he was gonna like my idea or not, but
mhm.
he saw my idea, he believed in it, he asked me what style I wanted, and he was able to come up with that. And I was so excited when I first saw that. I It blew me away how good he was. And he did all my advertisement. I actually have more pictures that I've not released that were
Ooh.
so good. And I haven't spoken to him for a while, but I think he's working on other projects right now. But if it wasn't for him, I don't think the cover would have been as good.
So all of us are authors on this show. And so we know that the cover is so very important.
Everything.
It's the first
Yes.
thing people see. So tell us why you decided to go with this cover, and then we'll get into this beautiful story.
I decided to do that due to the fact that I wanted something that grabs everyone's attention. There's also a secret meaning of that cover. And if you look at the badges, you see the first letters of their names, N and P, which has a strong meaning in the story of who they both represent and why it looks like we're in a courtroom at the time. So I wanted to make it apparent that this is not just a normal story. There are fantasy elements in it, but then again, I think I wouldn't consider Nigel and Peter fiction. I actually, in within me, I know them.
Mm.
I'm with them all the time. They're with me all the time, and I have to deal with them every day in every decision that I make. And they we're still writing our story. I'm, I'm still in it with both of them, Nigel and Peter.
So tell us about Case 1988. I love this book so much um, because it is such a reflective. I feel like we use that word a lot on this show, but this is such a reflective story. So tell the audience about this amazing book.
Case 1988 is a biography, I guess, fiction biography. If I can come up with my own little genre,
Genre.
Why
little,
not? It's
yeah, little
fantasy,
thing.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is fantasy. There we go. It's about the story of me and me losing the case at the beginning of the story that I didn't even try to fight. And I'm sent to a one cell prison where I'm watched by Nigel and Peter. I'm at the point of the story where it starts. I'm very close to Nigel, and becomes quickly apparent why. And I push Peter away. I don't really listen to anything he has to say. And this prison I am in starts to become safe, which you really wouldn't think a prison would be safe, but for some reason this prison becomes my sanctuary and no one bothers me. I don't have to worry about trying. It's built off my fear, and um I don't want to leave at that point.
Don't give
There's
too
no
much away because we want them to buy the book, but just
absolutely.
enough to get it.
That's as far as I go.
You know what, Justin, as you're talking about this book, and I know we said that it was fantasy and there's fantasy elements to it, but like you mentioned, it's so personal. So what was the personal kind of journey as you were writing this, because it is such a introspective look, of yourself through kind of this fantasy world perspective? What did you learn about yourself? Like, was it difficult? Did it cause you to see things that maybe you didn't see before? Like, what was that process like? I'm always interested to know what you experienced as you wrote your book.
This was a very hard book to write. It wasn't planned to be this way. When I first wrote Case, it was called something else, and there were two different characters that weren't Nigel and Peter. I tried to make it a comedy at first because me personally, in the past, I used to try to joke out of my problems. Like, yeah, it hurt, but I tried to make a joke out of it because it made dealing with it easier. Or I wouldn't even say I dealt with it. I would say moving past it easier. So when I read the rough draft, I hated it, and I was like, "This is not me. This is not going to hit anyone." So what I had to do for the first time, I think I started writing this when I was 30. Yeah, exactly when I turned 30, I had to face everything I was afraid of. And through writing this, I knew that my family was going to read this. So in my heart, I was admitting things to people. The fear I had, the uncomfortability being Justin, because for me, not trying and going around my problems, it was the easy thing to do. So Case made me face that. And there was a couple of chapters, one in particular, that was very, very hard for me to face. And it was my love for basketball and how my personal experience going to a certain school had destroyed my confidence so bad that I was scared to even pick up a basketball. And I always thought I was, decent at hoop until I went to middle school and I could do great in practice. I could beat most of my teammates in one on one. But when I got in front of a crowd, that confidence that I had was so beaten down that it became a prison for me because the best thing to do was to run. And every time I got in a position where I had to reveal myself as a man, as a person, as Justin McMullen, I would run. So Case was like, okay, I got to sit down and I have to face this now. I have to fight this now. I have to tell people that I am afraid. And that I would say was my biggest challenge. How can I say I'm afraid and I'm a man? Men ain't supposed to be afraid. Men ain't supposed to have these problems. We're supposed to stand up and we're supposed to fight them off. But sooner or later, it becomes a war you can't win. It has to be something that needs to be solved instead of fighting it. What I mean by that? I have to make peace with it. So Case was my peace treaty, I guess, with the problems that I had.
I want to read a little bit of that section in the book where you're talking about basketball. Game after game passed. I received no playing time. My parents came to a couple of my games, but they never saw me play at all. Thoughts of Franklin started to creep in. It was the same experience all over again. I cheered for my teammates as I should, but I grew frustrated. One practice, I got into an argument with one of my coaches because I wasn't playing in games. He told me to run some laps around the field for back talking. During the lap, I got into it with one of my teammates for a joke that he made. Another teammate heard the argument and told me, "Who cares what you think? You ain't never getting any playing time anyway." As much as I wanted to cuss him out for what he said, I knew he was right. I had concluded that I wasn't going to play no matter what I did. Hearing that portion now, what emotion is triggered?
Um, I'll say this. There's something that every author has to face when they write a book, especially when it's been a certain amount of time. Normally, when I used to hear that before I became who I am now and worked through these problems, it would draw a tear because I felt like not only was I letting my family down, I was letting myself down. And authors eventually change when they look back at their work. Like as time goes past, they look back at their work and they're like, dang, I wrote that.
Right.
So cases is difficult for me to read now, but when I think about that, um it does kind of hurt because
Mhm.
if only I had believed in myself. And yeah, if only I had believed in myself, I could have been who I thought I should have been during that time. And I had to rewire how I thought about that. Yeah, I wasn't the most confident, but it also taught me a lesson because I hated that my dad would come and my mom would come and they would sit in the bleachers and they would be so excited only for me to get on the field or on the court and I would make a mistake and get laughed at. Um, that was the most painful memory that I think I had. But when I look back at it, I thank God for it, for who I am now. I thank God for it because in a way, I didn't get what I needed back then, but God made a way for me to use that as I got older, as a
Right.
reminder of where I was and who I am now. So I thank God for that. I had to turn it into thank you, God, for that embarrassment. It hurt then. I didn't understand it, but it sure was fuel when I got older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It kind of goes back to our series that we're doing now, Steph.
Hmm.
Love your story.
Yeah.
You have found a way to love your story, all parts of it.
Hmm.
yes,
Yeah.
Go
yes.
ahead,
Yeah.
Steph. I'm sorry.
No,
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead, Justin.
Just going back to what Jamie said, yeah, you have to love your story. Because there was times where you you didn't. Well, I didn't love my story so much. I thought it was going to end a certain way. I never thought that I would be able to move past certain things, but like I said, God is good, and He makes a way out of no way. So he turned that pain into something else. So I need that part of my story. It's a very, very, very important part. So
Yeah.
yeah,
In that people don't realize how reflective books are, specifically to the author, that it really is this mirror that you're kind of holding up both to your present, to your past, and even on some level to your future, right? It's showing you all these different levels of you, parts of you at different places in your life. And so it's like reading it now, it has a whole different impact than it did as you were writing it. And then 10 years down the line, it's going to have an even different impact because the Bible talks about how there's power in your words, right? Life or death. And we really don't realize, like, even in a book on the page, like there is life to those words and they're constantly evolving, right? And so it's like you can write a paragraph or a sentence and it means something, one thing at one point, and then it's like those words can take on a completely different meaning when you look at it and reflect back on it again, and then somebody else can read that story and it has a completely different meaning to them. Just the power of those words. And so as you were talking, I was just thinking about, there's this one particular young boy who is at the school that I work at, and he wants to write this comic book, right? And so he's writing. And so what would you say to the young person or the older person who is, they feel different, right? I see things differently. I want to write differently. I see the world through a different lens, or even just it's easier to make, I guess it's easier to tell my story kind of behind somebody else's character, if that makes sense, when we're talking about fantasy. Like, what would you say to that person as a place of encouragement, or even just as a place of, advice?
Write your story the way only you can write it. Um, I look back at the Bible and I look back at what I wrote as far as Nigel, and I see Goliath. And Nigel is my Goliath. And I was David walking on faith. And like, look, I got a couple of stones. I'm just going to lean and hope he go down.
Yeah.
So that was my version. That was my perspective of that story in a way. And perspective is important, and people's stories are important. You never know what that one work could do. One comic, one movie, one story, anything can change somebody's life forever. When I had went to a school that invited me to speak about Case 1988, it was a middle school in Urbana, Illinois. I was talking about my book, and there was this young kid I've never seen before. He pulled me to the side after class. He was like, "Hey man, I read your book 3 times," and he told me, "You're my hero." And when I heard that, I'm like hero me? And he was like, "Yeah, you're my hero. The way you stood up and the way you did what you did in the story. No spoilers, Jamie gonna kill me."
Mm-hmm.
Um, he was so touched by that, and he drew me a picture, and all these kids, they sent me art over a 3 month span, like Nintendo characters, anything they had, they would just send them to me. And I was so happy that one child came up to me and called me his hero, and how the story had touched him. If I've changed that child's life in any way by my words, then I think that even if the book sold 1 copy, I've done my job.
Wow. That's the best part of being an author. You never know whose life you're going to impact and how. Like for some people, it may be to be a writer. For some people, it may be to just keep going. Or for someone else, it could be, it's okay that I'm different. Where we're living in a day and time where there are so many people that are trying to um, mimic other people. We'll say that.
Yes,
We'll say
very
it that
much
way.
so.
Yeah. That it's almost strange to stand out. And that was one of the reasons we wanted to create this podcast and this show, because we want you to know that you can level up. And that doesn't mean that you can be over anybody. It's just, it's okay to be different, right? It's okay to do your thing, that it's okay to take your book and make it a business. It's okay to take your idea and make it a brand. It's okay to, want to go the what is the unbeaten path, or it's okay to go down the path that everybody's going, but to your own
Beat.
speed, right?
Mhm.
Because yeah, I think about the fact that it took me 11 years to get my undergraduate degree.
Hmm.
All my friends had graduated. I was sitting next to people at graduation that I did not know, that I did not necessarily have class with. They were graduating with their peers. My peers were now working at the school, and they were now administrators or whatever. But I was working in my field while I was in college. Most people had to wait till they got a degree to get a job in television or radio. I was a television producer while I was in college. You know what I mean? And so it's the perspective that you mentioned that that we have to consistently sharpen. And I want to bring up at this juncture the lawyer in the book. A lawyer is often our voice, our advocate. the person that helps us with that perspective. And for you, in this story, the lawyer played a very important part. We're not going to tell you the lawyer's name because you have to get the book to find out the lawyer's name. But tell me what was so special to you about the lawyer, and why you needed to include that role in the book.
Well, without spoiling anything, um, Miss Lawyer, as her code name in the book, is a representation of me, to me, of the powerful women in my life and what they helped bring me out of. So at first, the lawyer was supposed to be a man, but I didn't feel like that would stick. And I thought about it and I made her female. So, for one, Miss Lawyer is a callback, callback to Miss McKinley, my elementary teacher. Miss McKinley taught me how to read, and Miss McKinley taught me how to write. And there have been some powerful women, such as yourselves, who have played a huge part in my life. So I wanted to make her female. That's why I did that. But she's also, um, she forces Justin in the story to question a lot of things about himself. And one thing that I have learned, especially over the last couple of years, since I've been doing a lot of mental work, is that sometimes we can believe a lie. And sometimes that lie will imprison you. It will stop you from doing a lot of things in your life that you would have done had you not believed that. In the book, I was told a lot of lies that I made gospel. I was, and it's funny because as a kid, I was always called goofy looking and I had big eyes, whatever the case may be. But a lot of pretty girls like me, they just didn't say nothing until much later. Uh, I believed that I was goofy looking at one point. I believed that no one would like me. I believed that I was not good at things. And throughout my life, that lie stopped me from doing so much. So, Miss Lawyer is sort of like the counter to that. She's the truth. In every story in a student mentor relationship, the reason why the mentor is so powerful is because they carry a truth when the student carries the lie, and they bring that truth out. So Miss Lawyer represented that. And throughout the chapter, she forces me, or Justin in the story, to confront those lies. So that's why she's a very special character to me. I'm actually working on a huge project with, at this point, I've been working on it for 17 years, I would say. And I have hundreds of characters. She is single handedly the best character that I have ever written and the most special to me. Um, because if it wasn't for her, especially the last word I said in the book, um, I don't think I would have became who I became.
You guys have to get this book, and I'm not just saying this, but it's not just so much about the last word that he wrote in the book, but it's how he wrote it. It is the only word on the page. And when I got to that part, just tears, right? Because it stands alone. And I love your book so much. And I'm not just saying that, Justin. I promise you, clearly, I'm not just saying that. I bought these. Like, I didn't, I bought these books. And I have gifted your books to people because I don't think we recognize the prisons we all are living in some way, shape, form, or fashion.
Mhm.
And I think that your book is so powerful by making it somewhat a fantasy in image.
Right.
It makes it more approachable, right? Because no one wants to sit down and read a self-help book.
Right.
You know, I often tell you that you're one of the most intense people I know. You're so intense. Like you're just a very, like this is Justin most of the time. He's very intense. But that's one of the best parts about you. I'm like, Justin, what do you do for fun? Like lighten up, laugh. Let me see
And
you
it's so
giggle.
funny.
Like
It's so funny when you said that you were like that this was gonna be a comedy. I laughed to myself like I can't even fathom that because
intense.
you are
It,
just so like
it wasn't a
you
merry-go-round ride. Yeah.
So, but when he smiles, it's the best thing in the world. And when he laughs, it's like, oh, there it is, there it is. But
It comes out.
but I think the intensity is not a bad thing. I think it's a part of your uh, and I'm gonna say this, it's part of what makes you a national treasure because
Thank
it's
you.
the passion that you have for the subject matter of whatever you're doing, whether you're producing shows or whether you're writing books. There is, it just shows how serious you take the things that you're doing and that you're putting your mind to. I am a huge ambassador for this book and I recommend it for everybody. What's next for Justin? Is there a
book number
case 1988 too?
Um, I actually want to rewrite the book, but the problem is that it's hard for me to go back and rewrite the things that I put in there is because due to the fact that I'm not the same person. And my entire outlook has changed. And sometimes it's hard for me to go back to read the book because it's like, man, I really used to think like that. But I do want to rewrite it. Not rewrite it, I'll say revise it. There are certain things that I would like to maybe add because there's one particular part, and it was the final uh bit of evidence that Miss Lawyer brought to Justin that a lot of people want me to expand on. They always ask about it. And they're like, why
So how
didn't
about this? So how about this? How about leave this alone,
hmm
right? And that can be the beginning of the
Yeah,
next
the next book.
story,
Yeah.
right? The evolution. It can be called freedom or the day, the day after lockup or whatever. You know what I mean? That
yeah,
that because you have evolved. Justin has evolved, right? And and I'm sure that Nigel and Peter are not too far behind. Whether they've stayed how they are, maybe their positions have changed. Maybe
oh,
somebody has been eliminated, or maybe somebody has been promoted, right? So I think that, and not to, because I get it when you want to go back and add, but this is, I think the way that it's written and who wrote it, when you wrote it, is necessary for the people that need to see it. I read the book again when I was going through my cancer journey. And there's a book that I also have two copies of. I tend to have multiple copies of books that I read often or need a lot. And it's called How to Heal Your Life by
mm,
Louise Hayes. And this woman believes, and I think I've brought it up on this show before, she believes that there is a root cause to every illness on the planet. Everything from cancer to glaucoma to diabetes to depression to, I mean, you name it. If there is a illness, disease, or anything that you've ever received a diagnosis for, a prescription for, she believes there is a root cause to it. And in reading this book, it helped me to realize how much um, I had been holding on to from a place of regret in some spaces, fear, anger, that I hadn't really admitted to. And because of how she wrote the book, and this book has been written and translated all across the world, But rereading this during that very fragile time of my life helped me recognize, in comparison to that book, or I should say in complement to that book, it helped me see the bars that
Mm,
I was putting in my prison, that
yeah.
I was actually making my prison bigger, or in some cases tighter, smaller, or more, more, you know putting me in more bondage.
Mm,
So that's just my personal review, that it's just something special about how you wrote this and when you wrote it, because it needed to be written that way at that time. So
yeah.
And
I
it's
definitely.
very vulnerable, and
yeah,
it's interesting to there's something about like there people often say that the heart reaches the heart, right? That even if I don't necessarily understand the subject, I can understand the heart behind it. I connect with the emotion of it, with the underlining kind of universal emotion of fear, not seeing yourself the way that you should, allowing other people to impact what you think about yourself. Like those are all universal things that one of my very favorite shows is this show called Bluey, right? And it's a cartoon, but I love it because they deal with like some really deep stuff. My kids love it, right? I have young kids, so I watch Disney Channel most of the day when I'm home with them. But they deal with like these really deep things, but it's palpable and you connect with it because they do it with these dogs and it's funny and it's cute and it's unassuming, but you walk away like they just talked about like death. They just dealt with,
yeah,
her
uh,
dealing with her fears. And I'm saying that to say for anyone who is watching this and they're like, okay, well, fantasy is not really my genre. I don't really rock with, the Dragon Ball and all of that, but you can relate to the heart of this book, right? I don't want you to feel like there are some things that are just universal that we can all learn from, we can all grow from, we can all connect to. And so I think sometimes genres can be, even with music, like don't put me in a box. I like what I like. I want to listen to what I want to listen to. And I think it's the same thing with this. Don't let the fact that you look at the picture and it's like this illustrated cartoon, like know that when you read this book, there is a vulnerability, there is human life experience that you're going to be able to glean from and learn from and grow from. And it's written in such a vulnerable and transparent way that everyone is going to get something from it. And so I just want to applaud you, Justin, for having the courage. Again, one of the things that I think, one of the reasons why we did Level Up too, or why we're doing this podcast, is because there really is a certain level of courage you have to actually write your story, right? Like whatever that story is, whether it is a self-help book, whether it's fantasy, whether it's fiction, whether it's a memoir, whatever it is, if it's just a recipe book, there is something courageous on the inside of you that has to kind of arise that allows you to express your words or share your words with the world, right? Like that's not an easy thing to do. And so I just want to applaud you for having the courage to write it and to write it your way, and to do it in a way that felt authentic to you. And so I just want to encourage again anyone who's watching too, like be authentic to your voice, be authentic to who God has created you to be, how you see the world, because there is someone waiting to be authentic because they see you be authentic. Like your authenticity gives me permission to be authentic in and of myself. And so just I can't wait to see the second book. I even feel like it could be a screenplay. Like I feel like this could be like uh something on TV, a movie. I'm just saying the sky's the limit, right? We don't have to box you in.
what's the new genre? Vertical movies, like Country Wayne is doing vertical videos. So it's not even like on TV. Like you literally have to watch it on Facebook.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's so irritating because it comes up randomly. You're like,
Yeah.
I need this in order.
Yeah. Maybe
That
that's
would
how
be
you can
for
expand
some to
it.
think.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll be
Yeah,
fans. And I have to be honest, Justin. I only read your book because I am 220, right? And so I was like, I have to read everything that 220 pub, and I knew you. And so I was like, I'm just gonna read it to support. I did not expect it to actually be something that would resonate with me so powerfully. And so Steph, you're 1000% correct that oftentimes the cover is what draws us, but it also could be the thing that deters us, like, that's not my thing, or that's not what I'm into. So I say that to say to people, when you're in a bookstore and you're looking at books, or if you're on our website and you're looking at books, like, flip it over, read what the story is about, or give yourself an opportunity to try something different. My last year I went to Rockville in Daytona Beach is a huge musical concert that people come from all over the world. For those that are in Chicago, it would remind you of Lollapalooza or like Coachella for the people in California. It's like it's the thing, the music concert. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm a rock girl. I like music and I can appreciate music, but I don't necessarily say that, rock is my genre, right? But I had free tickets to go. Shout out to my god brother who blessed me with VIP tickets. So I took one of my coworkers who was into rock so I could have a translator to to help me navigate through this world, right?
yeah,
And when you go, it's literally thousands of people, and it's usually 100 degrees outside in Daytona Beach. And, they have on their leather and black and spikes and fishnets and, all of the things. But there are various stages that are set up, and there's literally concerts happening simultaneously. And when I tell you, I really was introduced to some sounds and some stories that if I had never gone to this event, I would have never been exposed to, right? And to this one band sang a song where it was basically about killing suicide. Like, what a concept. Like, it was about killing the thoughts of suicide, killing the desire to be suicidal. Like, it was just this really, really powerful song that I found myself listening to on repeat for like a week after the concert, because I was just like, wow. Like, it was beautifully written. Like, lyricists were beautifully written. And then I found out that Ice-T, who I grew up listening to as one of the forefathers of hip hop and rap, has a rock band. And
Yeah.
to see him performing on stage with his son, just to see that legacy building. And so just because I decided to give myself an opportunity to experience something different, heart heard heart was able to identify with heart. And at the end of the day, the human experience is universal, and music and books are the thing that unify us
I
oftentimes.
Yeah.
agree. And that's why I have a problem with a lot of the hate that goes around in the world today, because one, when you're yourself, you offer the world something no one else can. Being yourself and being true to yourself is a gift in itself. And I think that we definitely need more of that in stories. Being able to go out and try and learn different things is a very powerful thing, due to the fact that you never know what that might inspire you to do. There's there's genres that I don't listen to. Like my friend listens to rock all the time, and his dad got him into rock, and I forgot what band he was listening to, but it was this girl singing a song about being sick. And this illness that she had was a illness that one of my family members had died from. And to hear her explain what she had in that song, and having a mental picture of what that looked like on my family member at that time, opened my eyes up to that genre of music. Now I have a couple of bands that I will listen to. There's a couple of artists that I would have shooed away due to the fact that being black, I'm a hip hop guy. I can't be caught listening to that. That's not what's up in high school.
Yeah.
But taking the time to finally sit down and listen to it and getting other people's perspective, you there is nothing in this world or anyone in this world that we can't relate to in some way. There's a story that we have not heard that we can identify with if we listen to it. So I would recommend everybody to open their ears a little bit more.
That's
If you
good.
can get past yourself and let yourself be open to those things, you get stories like Case or books
Mhm.
that are out there that are impactful. So I would recommend everybody to do that, and don't be afraid to write it and put it out there.
That's good. That's good.
So for these last 10 minutes, Justin, so we talked about you being an author, right? But you're also a part of the 220 publishing family. Well, 220 just in general, 220 communications. I think you do some stuff with Wine Crawl, like you're just kind of
You
the
are
jack of all
220.
trades, right? But specifically with 220 Publishing, you also do some work with our marketing and the bestsellers campaigns and all of that. And so, talk a little bit about your role at 220 and how you help authors kind of achieve their author dreams as it relates to the release of their book.
I just want to put it out there that I'm called the top 10 man on it.
Okay.
Brag or anything.
Not to brag, but if we talking about if this was NBA and we talking about championship rings, I would kind of be out there with Jordan.
Okay, I like that.
Just
That was
throwing it out there.
well played. Well played, Jay. Well played.
Right.
Yeah, for real. I help authors promote their book. My job is to make sure that your book gets seen, that we give advice to put your book in the best position to get read. I've worked with several people and we have been very, very successful. It is an honor as a writer and somebody who's a fan of writing to put somebody's book out there and see them light up when people are listening and reading and learning more about them. So I've been working with 220 for about, man, Glenn kind of force hired me.
He's a bully.
Yeah,
Let's put that on record. Glenn Murray,
Glenn
founder and
Murray.
CEO.
He gonna kill me when he see this interview.
That's okay.
But yeah, he hired me when I was 23, and since then I've been working with the publishing company, and it was an honor to put a book out there for him, and seeing how he responded to it. But I have a lot of fun making sure authors see their books go as far as it possibly can. Yeah, so I'm going to continue to do that. I'm trying to get 11 rings eventually sometime. But yeah, 220 Communications and 220 Publishing has been such a blessing. Working with Steph, working with great minds like Jamie Gill, and others. It's a beautiful thing to get these stories out. So if you got a book, I'm your man.
We tell you guys that we have a lot of fun at 220, not just because it's something to say, it's legit. What makes this company so very special, in my opinion, is that in every role, each person is passionate about what they're doing. They may have been forced to work here initially, bullied initially. I've been with 220 for what, 10 years now,
Mm.
11 years, something like that. 12 since 2014. So 12, is that 12 years?
Yeah, I was gonna say because you were there. I've been there 10, so you were there before me.
Yeah. So 2013, 14, Lessons for Little Girl came out, my first one. And to see just the evolution of the company and how people have come and have gone from an employee standpoint as well as author standpoint. The team now, like, we legitimately work as family, but we're passionate about helping people get their voices out and their stories told. Justin, you said that there's no feeling like it. Like when you were talking, me and Steph were both like just cheesing, because it's such a joy to have. I've said it before. I've never given birth to a human, a baby, but I've give birth to books, and I know what that feeling feels like. And then to see somebody else, a new mom or a new dad, give birth to their book, it's like, I know it's great, isn't it? It is. And so yeah, yay 220.
Don't discredit yourself though, because what you write can help raise somebody. It
Yeah,
can put somebody on the right path. So you never know who you would touch, and that's the beautiful thing about writing. I have a lot of I guess quote unquote fathers and mothers due to the words that I have read and the path that they have put me on, and the deep, I would say I'm a deep thinker. Sometimes it's hard to turn that off because I'm so into like knowledge. Knowledge is power, and what you do with that is very important. It says a lot about you. So to read and to be able to share that knowledge and get words from people that I would probably never meet, but I still know them through what they write.
sure.
You touch a lot of people. So I'm in love with writing. It is my wife. I guess I would say we've been married since I was 4 years old. So I can't imagine, like I said, and I'll say this to the day I die, I can't imagine life without it.
Yeah.
That should be our
Same.
hook. So what's the brown sugar? How it's like, when did you fall in love with hip
Yes.
hop, right?
Yes.
So we were
Yes.
talking about like, what is this? And it really is that. It's like you can equate it either to a spouse or to a child. It's like, this it really is this love affair, this
Yeah.
relationship,
It's
where
okay,
you fall in.
goosebumps. Like, it's
Yes,
true.
you fall in love with your story, you fall in love with the words, and then the whole thing. So I don't know. I feel like it's something in that, Justin, where that can somehow be our
Stay
closing
tuned.
question. Yeah. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Well, I know we only have a few minutes left, and so I just want to encourage anybody. We're in June. We got the whole 220 publishing team here. We got the editing, we got the publishing, we got the marketing, we got the top 10
10
bestseller release promotions, all the things. You have 6 months. I know so many of us came into this year with the New Year's resolution to finally write your book, to finally get it. We're 6 months in, 6 months to go. Now is the time. You still are able to reach your goals. So if you're wanting to publish, you want to get some information, that you're really ready now to make this. And even if you're not ready, like, we're going to partner with you. You don't have to be ready. You just have to be willing. You got to be open, and we'll partner with you to do it. But I just want to encourage you, like, go ahead and write your book. There is someone who is waiting for you to do that, because it's going to give them life, it's going to inspire them, it's going to do something for them. So these next 6 months, we're going to get it in, and we're going to get these books released, and you got your whole team here to help you do it.
Right. Justin, before we leave, what would be something that you would like to say, parting words to help someone level up? And that doesn't have to be just from a business standpoint. That could be from an emotional, that could be from an interpersonal, whatever you feel led to say. What's your level up closing remark?
Hmm. I guess I will say that time is a very precious thing, and I think that people need to understand that what you put out in the world is also precious, and the time that you have to do that is as well. You should always believe in yourself. and give the world you. There's somebody that needs that. There's somebody that needs to be reminded that it doesn't matter what other people say. It doesn't matter what life hits you with. You have a lot to offer. And that is something that I had to understand. And Case 1988 is a testimony of that. And don't be afraid to write your story. Don't be afraid to let people know who you are. Enjoy your life and express and celebrate that. Express that, because we need that. We need more of that. So overall, if I can sum it up, just be you. You level up by being your best version of yourself, not who people tell you to be. So
That's one of the chapters in one of my books, Justin. I think you have hit goals. Be you. Justin, we love you. We appreciate you. We thank God for your words, for your intensity, for your perspective, and for your gifts. You are such a jewel to this company, to our show, and to our lives. So we want to thank you for being a guest on Level Up. It is a joy to come before you guys every time we bring a new episode. We're excited about the month of June. We have a returning author to 220 who has a new release, and we're so excited about that. We will have some top leadership that will also be on the show. We won't give it all away now. You guys just have to go ahead and subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share. It is through your participation with this channel that we can continue to bring more authors, more content to your very front door, through your phone, through your computer screens. And if you would like to be on the show, go ahead and send us a message. If you know an author that you believe that would be a great asset to this show as well, that has a story that needs to be told, a voice and a perspective we all need to hear to be inspired and to level up, go ahead and drop us a line. We would love to stay in contact with you. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye. Bye,
Level up.
everybody.